Okay, now that we've mixed up our star comp, it's time to make stars. Now there's several methods for doing this. In previous videos I've shown you how to do cut stars and pump stars. This time we're going to do rolled stars. And the advantages of rolled stars are that you can do a lot of them at a time, you can get them more consistent in size, and you can do color changing stars a lot easier. So let's get started. I'll show you the complete method for that. Okay, so for rolling stars you need to have cores that you can roll your material onto to get started. A couple of different things you can use. I used to use mustard seeds for one, and you can kind of see the size of those. And a lot of people use lead shot. Some people use millet. And I am using, they call them molecular sieves, size 3A. These are available on Amazon. I bought 5 pounds of these for $22. These are hydroscopic, so they will absorb water easily. And so what we're going to do today is, I've got 2 bowls here. One is going to be my wet bowl, one's going to be my dry bowl. And we're going to start off by saturating some of these sieves. And I've got a small bottle for misting that we'll be using. It's got water and a little bit of alcohol. Now these are hard to, well, it's not hard, but it takes a while to get these absorbed really good the very first time. So I don't know if you can see the color changing, that it absorbs it and then it gets darker and then it gets lighter. Until we have them all saturated, then they're going to be all a consistent color. So we'll just put a ton of water on here to start with to get these all evenly coated till they've absorbed all the water they can. Okay. So we're going to try to get a little bit of this water out of these. And here's our comp, our star comp. If you remember, we're doing green. So what we're going to do is start off with a little comp in this bowl. And we're just going to rub it around the bottom there. And I'm going to take these stars and we're going to dump these in directly to the dry bowl, so there's no excess water getting in there. And we're simply going to start rolling these and getting these coated. And now once they started getting coated with solution, they'll separate, most of them. And you can use your finger to break them apart when they start clumping. But we just keep rolling these around in the dry material until they will not coat any further. But if you can see, they're actually getting larger as we roll. So we'll keep doing this till it looks like you're not getting any more. Here again, break up any of them that stick together. So they're taking right much of the comp. I really don't want that much comp in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sift these so I can get the excess off of them before I put them back in the wet bowl. So now they're back in the wet bowl, and we're going to have to mist these now lightly. We don't want them to get so saturated so the material doesn't clump up on them. So you've got to have some patience here with them. And take your time, because like with everything with fireworks, it seems to be time consuming. So we'll lightly mist these. Till we get them evenly coated. So not a lot, but they'll change colors. They'll get a little darker, you know, if they're wet enough, damp enough. So we'll dump these back into our bowl. And we're going to clean this out, because I want this perfectly clean every time and dry every time we do this. Okay. So still have a little bit of comp in there. We'll just add a little bit more. Now sometimes with star comp that is really fine, which this is really fine, they will start doing what's called raspberrying, and that means they get little clumps. They're not perfectly round. They'll get little nodules on them. And I've found that one way to try to prevent that from happening is not let them get so wet at one time that they clump on it too quickly. You know, that just grows too quickly in size, basically, and doesn't have time to kind of dry as it's going along. Now we're going to coat these a while till a certain size, and then we're going to put these in our star roller, which is a cement mixer that's been changed over. And we'll show you that shortly. But if you can see, these are starting to grow. They're probably not quite double in size, but close. And we'll add a little comp at a time until we feel like these are not soaking up anymore or coating anymore. Now, it's going to become apparent shortly that some of these are growing in size more than others. And that's okay, because what we're going to do is start sorting these out eventually and take the ones that are smaller and put more on those until they're all pretty much equal size. Okay, so those are coated pretty well. Here again, I'm going to try to sift out some of this comp. So that our dry bowl stays a little drier. Actually, there's a few more stars there. Okay, we'll put this back in our wet bowl. Ended up with a few there. Okay, so you can see we don't have a lot of dry comp loose in this, and that's what I want to try to prevent, is having that in the wet bowl, because it'll clump up so much easier. So we'll lightly mist these once again, and we'll continue doing this back and forth until these are, I don't know, 3/16 or something so in size, and then we'll let them dry some, and then we will put them in our roller. but it's just a back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so once again, see what we have. Just a little bit left in there. Add just a little bit again. You can see we're not adding a lot of comp at a time. We're not adding a lot of water at a time. And like I said, there's no hurry, because this can get out of hand quickly if you're not careful. And they'll just all start clumping together, and it'll just be a mess. Okay, so I'm going to do this a little longer off camera, and I'll come back and show you, and then we will put these in to dry. Or actually, I'm going to dry these outside on the screen. It's a nice hot day here in the south. All right, so that's what we currently have. You can see some of these are bigger already. They may be. I'll try to check and see if there's any clumped together, but that's what we have currently. So I will be back shortly and show you our progress. All right. Okay, so you can see how much these have grown. And in a way to sort these is I've got this 1/8 inch screen, and they all stay on this screen, so I know that they're over 1/8 of an inch, a little over 1/8 of an inch. And this is a 1/4 inch. This is a 1/4 inch sorting screen, and they should. Let's see how they do. Stay on there or not. Okay, so most all of them fall through, with the exception of a few of them. So they're right at 3/16 and slightly over on some of them. Now, if you want just super accurate, you'll need to buy some of these in 1/16 inch increments. But so I haven't bought any of those. So for right now, for what I'm doing, these are okay. So I'm going to take these and dry them, and believe then we'll go straight into our cement mixer. So we'll let these dry, and I'll be back later. Okay, so here is my star roller that used to be a cement mixer. As you can see, there's no paddle inside. There's been a few other modifications to it, and you can check out the earlier video I did and take a look at that. And I've let our stars dry out for several hours. Now I've got them in here, and kind of the same thing. We're going to wet these, get this thing running, and then add a little composition at a time until they start growing. And so same deal, try not to overdo either one as you're rolling these. Now this is going to be a little noisy, so but you should still be able to hear me. Okay, so it's the same thing. I've got my little mister with water and just a little alcohol, and I'm going to start slightly wetting these. I'm going to add just a little comp. Now I still didn't get these very wet to start with, because I can actually see the loose comp higher up on these. And if you want to get a closer look, you can actually roll them to the front without them coming out. Here again, we're going to roll these, try to roll them slowly to prevent the raspberrying effect. And then when we get, I don't know, I think I want these about 5/16 to 3/8 of an inch in size. And so I will probably sort these when I think they'll all see right at 1/4 inch to see if we can get them more equal in size. And so what I'll do is sort them, take the 1/4 inch ones and out and put the smaller ones in there, increase those in size until we get pretty much everything sized the same. Now you can kind of hear the sound of them. You get kind of used to when they're wet, they sound a little different than when they're dry. And so you can kind of get an idea from that also. And of course, you can always take some out and look at them, put them back in. There's nothing to grab your arm. You could rub your arm against the outside edge of this, but other than that, it's safe. Safe as it can be, sticking your arm in something rolling around. And there's a little bit of the comp will get stuck to this outside of where the normal rolling is, and you can see, and it kind of will build up. I kind of try to let it run through that material. To pick that up as well. And I always try to spray or put the comp directly on the stars themselves. It's really hard to get this, where I'm sitting, it's hard to get this camera at an angle where you can really see them running good and me not be in the way. But same thing here, I'm going to keep going a little at a time, keep an eye on them, and then I'll come back in a minute and show you. When they get just a little bit bigger, I'll sort these out. I'll show you how that works. Alright, so I've got to the point I think I'm going to go ahead and sort these. So I'm going to sort them through this 1/4 inch one. And I'll put the larger ones in do not go through in a separate little container here. It's hard to do one hand. So I'll sort these again through the 1/4 inch size. And I'll put the ones that fall through back in here and try to get them kind of equal size. Okay, so I've got quite a few there. I've got quite a few here that are already not passing through the 1/4 inch. So keep those out, and then we'll put all these back, and we'll keep going to increase the size of these. and then we'll sort them again. Okay, I wanted to show you something. Earlier on we were talking about the raspberrying effect, and another batch here that I was trying to grow up to 1/4 inch, I actually did a little bit too fast. And can you see the difference? Those are getting raspberry effect, these are not. So I've almost got everything to quarter inch or a little better, but I just wanted to show you that. So I was going a little bit too quick with my wetting and putting too much comp in there at a time, so that's what we get. And I'll let it run a while once we put it all back in. It may round up some, but then again it may just be that's what we end up with. So anyway, interesting tidbit I thought I'd share there. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so I grew everything to basically the same size. And I put them back in, and now I'm going to just keep going until I get them a little bit up to the size I want. Maybe dry them in between, but maybe not. But anyway, I'll be back when these are finished, and then we'll let these dry, and the next step will be to prime them. So that'll be a little later. Alright, that's it. Alright, so I've screened everything. Then most of this will not go through a 3/8 inch or right at a 3/8 inch. So all of this is between 5/16 and 3/8 inch. And I'm going to let them all dry. And after that, after they dry, we'll be able to put primer on them. Because believe it or not, they still don't light good on their own. So they need a little primer on there to help them along, help them catch the fire better. So after this dries, then we'll get to that. All right, thanks. Okay, so it's actually a week later. I went out of town, left these things to dry, and you probably noticed there's two different colors here. And what happened was I run out of the comp that we had mixed up earlier when I was trying to finish off some of the growing some of these smaller ones. And so I found some comp that I had previously mixed. For some reason it was slightly different color or darker, so that's the reason there's two different colors here. Anyway, so I've got these sorted pretty good, and I'm going to now put those in, and we're going to actually coat these with a black powder mixture. Now what I have here is just 75-15-10 mixture of black powder with 5% dextrin in it, and that's what we're going to coat these in. And like I had maybe mentioned earlier, they're hard to light on their own, and so we try to put something on the outsides of them, typically a primer or a black powder or something, to help them light easily. So that's what I'm going to do next. That'll be the last step in these stars. We'll go ahead and coat these, and then we'll put these out to dry completely, and then we'll get on to doing rice hulls. So anyway, I'll get this thing cranking, and we'll start applying this. Okay, so my lighting today is not great. It's real early in the morning. But what I'm trying to do now is just get these coated with our black powder prime. Just like we were initially growing these with our green comp. We will let these coat as much as possible with powder or dry, and then we'll add more dampness to it. And add some more dry black powder. Now of course this black powder has not been kerneled, so it's like a mill powder they would call it. We haven't put it in the granular format. So you see these are starting to coat. Let's let these run. this till we get a good coating on these. So I'm going to let these run a little while, make sure they're coated very well and we're getting a pretty good thickness on these before we finish. And now we'll come back when it's done. Okay, so we've got these coated now, and I will spread these out. We'll let these dry, and then next video we'll get on to doing the black powder rice hulls, and those are used for burst charge. So anyway, I'll spread these out, and then that'll be it for this one. That's Rolling Stars.